Rajya Sabha member and former Foreign Secretary and former Ambassador to the United States, Harshvardhan Shringla said, hopefully, India will find a way to conclude a satisfactory and mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement with the United States of America sooner than later. But hope is not India's strategy. New Delhi has actually reached out to countries like the United Kingdom, Japan, South Korea, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Russia, Australia, and the Gulf countries in a bid to boost exports to these countries. So India exports to over 200 countries, but these 40 countries hold the key to diversification. If you talk about the textile sector, they represent more than $590 billion in textile and apparel. But that's not the only sector that the government is focusing on. From gems and jewelry to leather to textile, there's a lot that the government has on its table to mitigate the impact of the additional US tariffs or penalty for buying Russian oil. Our top story gets you more on India's wider strategy to mitigate the threat.
The hammer has dropped. 50% tariffs on Indian goods is officially live. But New Delhi has made one thing very clear. India will not bow to economic pressure.
मेरी सरकार लघु उद्यमियों का, किसानों का, पशुपालकों का कभी भी अहित नहीं होने देंगी। दबाव कितना ही क्यों न आए, हम झेलने की अपनी ताकत बढ़ाते जाएंगे।
On the eve of tariff, Prime Minister launched EV battery production in Gujarat with exports planned to 100 countries. He said India's strength is democracy and demography.
साथियों, भारत के पास डेमोक्रेसी की शक्ति है और भारत के पास डेमोग्राफी का एडवांटेज है। हमारे पास स्किल्ड वर्कफोर्स का बहुत बड़ा पूल है। इसलिए कि हमारे हर पार्टनर के लिए विन विन सिचुएशन बनाता है।
President Trump is failing to deter India. Despite his threats, India did not stop buying Russian oil, nor did it open its agricultural sector to US. In this anger, he calls Prime Minister Modi a terrific man in one tone, while claiming he stopped war on other.
I'm talking to a very terrific man, Modi of India. And I say, what's going on with you in Pakistan? Then I'm talking to Pakistan on trade. I said, what's going on with you in India? And the hatred was tremendous. Now, this has been going on for a hell of a long time, like sometimes with different names for hundreds of years. But I said, what's going on? I said, I don't want to make a trade deal. No, we want to make a trade deal. I said, no, I don't want to make a trade deal with you.
India is launching textile export outreach in 40 countries, including the UK, Japan and Germany, to counter the impact of the 50% US tariff. The outreach will be led by industries and embassies and positioning India as a reliable supplier of quality, sustainable products. The PMO has already held meetings to shield farmers, MSMEs and exporters. With tariff hitting textiles, seafood, leather, Indian exporters are under pressure. An Indian-made shirt that costs $10 now sells at $16.40 in the US, far more than competitors from Vietnam, Bangladesh or China. And in the middle of this trade tension, the real muscle of India-US relations is on display, a $10 billion defense deal.
Very hopeful that we will find a way to conclude a satisfactory, mutually beneficial free trade agreement with the United States early rather than late. and that would certainly take us to the next step of the visit of President Trump to India, a meeting with the Quad leaders, and I think really setting us back on track.
Meanwhile, Modi prepares for back-to-back visits to Japan and then China for the SCO summit. Trump may raise tariffs and make noise, but India is building jet engines, opening new markets, defending its farmers and holding ground. Bureau Report, India Today.